Hey everyone, welcome to another BTM screencast. Today we're going to be going over Unit 26, installing anchor bolts, brick corbelling, and wall copings. So by the end of this chapter, you'll be able to describe or set an anchor bolt to receive a wood plate or a steel beam in a masonry wall. And this right here is what we're focused on right now. This is going to be what your performance assessment is about on setting and resetting anchor bolts. List different types of fasteners for masonry and their specific use. Describe the process of corbelling brick for a masonry wall, and listing the different types of copings used on masonry walls. So there are many fine details and arrangements of brick and concrete block that you should learn in the course of your daily work. Now you're working in the level 2 masonry portion of the class, so if you want to get into more detail about it, let me know and then we can work on an individual basis and really build up your skills. Many of these detailed practices may be defined as basic masonry construction, such as installing anchor bolts, which again, that's going to be on a performance assessment, brick corbelling, and wall copings. So for setting anchor bolts are used to fasten a member of a structure. So sometimes in the carpentry portion of the class, we can install anchor bolts for us to set our sill plates. It's usually the job of the mason if it's to be done in a masonry wall. So there's specific things that we need to do once we set our walls to install an anchor bolt. Now, we're going to be setting them in walls, but we're also going to be setting them in slabs. So we're going to get exposure on a couple different aspects of it. Anchor bolts are available in different sizes to suit the requirements of specific jobs. Once you start your performance assessment, we'll talk more about this. Fasteners for brick masonry that can be installed during construction. So this is a good example of some things that you can do as you're building the wall. So the first is a wooden nailing block. It's an acceptable way of attaching an object like wood door buck. So you can see over here we have some of our wood nailing blocks, and that's helpful, but it's not something that we're really going to get into depth with in this class. Wall plugs are made of galvanized metal and may contain wooden or fiber inserts. So here we have the metal wall plugs. Again, don't get too crazy about this. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. So other types of fasteners to attach to a masonry wall after it's been built. So we went over the ones that you can do as you're building the wall. Now these are going to happen after you build the wall. So the first that we're going to look at are the screw shields and plugs. So typically they're made of plastic, fiber, rubber, nylon, and lead. And here's some examples of them. So on these we drill a hole and then it actually compresses in. We're not really going to get into that, but we have them available. So again, if this piques your interest, let me know and then we'll be able to get you on board and get them set. Bolt and screw attachments. So these are available for use in solid and hollow masonry units. So if you remember from last year when you set your wall, it's actually hollow inside the block. There's that cavity in there. And there's specific fasteners that you can use in that instance. We also have ones that are for solid walls. So if you have like a concrete wall that's solid or block with filled cores, then you'd be able to use these. They're typically used to attach and hold medium to heavyweight fixtures. So you're not going to hang a napkin holder or anything like that. You can mount pretty significant things to walls with these anchors. There's also fasteners for solid masonry units. Brick corbelling, again, if you want to get into this, we can, and I'm more than happy to show you how to do this. It's a projection of successive courses of brick out from the face of the side of a wall to form a shelf or a ledge and support the wall above. So if you look at this, it almost looks like reverse steps going up the wall. Instead of stepping in, it steps out. Masonry work that is projected past the face of the wall is more susceptible to moisture penetration than regular walls. So if you think about this, there's more of an exposed area. So instead of it being a flat wall, now you have a stepped wall. So you have more area for moisture to get in. So again, if this is your typical wall here, once you corbel it, it's going to look more like this. So you have a lot more surface area for water to penetrate. Copings. Copings are material used to cap or cover a masonry wall to prevent moisture penetration. that are available in many shapes and forms. So if you go out in the courtyard area here, you'll see that there's copings on top of the wall. Copings should have pitch, slope, or fall to drain the water, and there should be some room for expansion. So any material that we use outside, because of the fluctuation in temperature, humidity, we always want to make sure that there's room for it to expand. So some general information on masonry coping. The function of coping is to prevent the entry of water into the top of a masonry wall where it ends. So if you think of coping, it's kind of like a roof for a masonry structure. And you can see that really well in this piece here, right? So it's just a cap that goes on top of the wall so rainwater doesn't get down in. Flashing and weep holes for coping serve different functions than flashing used elsewhere in a building. Coping that isn't properly designed or set may result in moisture damage to the building. Again, if it allows moisture to penetrate in, then you're going to have an issue, especially when it's an exterior wall and you're going to be exposed to freezing temperatures. And that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, have a blast with your Ed puzzle.